Okay, I see what's good. I see what's good. Let me see what's really going on here. I really wasn't going to interject in any of this bullshit, but I feel the need to do so since even some of my close friends, confidants, one time labeled mates, and otherwise honorable American citizens are completely misguided. And I'm not saying they don't have good intentions, but what I'm saying is that what they're advocating, there's a few reasons why it just can't happen. The fundamental basis of our law structure and our government and constitution is the Constitution and Bill of Rights. So the Second Amendment ensures that you have the ability to, through any means, I don't care if people have bazookas, to be honest with you. I mean, some people have nuclear weapons at some on a large scale. So it's not like they don't play by the same kind of rule. Like, as long as I can have one too. You understand? So that's a fundamental. That's a God-given right to protect yourself by any means necessary and your family and loved ones against anything that's going to come in if you're going to come into harm's way. So that's one issue, one of the most important in my opinion. However, the assault rifle ban and common sense gun laws, I mean, really? I mean, you don't think that like Chicago proposed common sense gun laws in every gun-free zone? They turn into absolute war zones and hellholes. That's an observable, collectively observable fact. That you're not going to stop people from getting guns. And I'm not even talking about this last particular incident. I'm talking about overall. Every time you take guns away from a city, it becomes a hellhole because people are unarmed. It gives a sense of insecurity that bad people take advantage of. And everybody advocating for assault weapons bans and no, you don't need an AR-15. Like, it's not, these people have obviously never been in any combat or done any military service because every weapon is an assault weapon. Every weapon. If you assault someone with it, aggravated assault, you get it? It's similar to a conspiracy theory, when in reality, if you have an indictment, if you've ever been in any type of criminal trouble, a conspiracy to commit blase, so forth, is on about every indictment. There's not the word theory behind it. It's a conspiracy. They exist, but they've made it into the nom de plume basic lexicon amongst people that really can't talk and don't understand what language it means and what words actually mean, that they've blended and blurred those lines to where it's a conspiracy theorist if it's from your point of view, if you're investigating with an eyebrow raised, you know, but from that other side, it's a conspiracy. If they're indicting your fucking ass, it's a conspiracy, not a conspiracy theory. They've already decided that it's a conspiracy analysis, a conspiracy fact. So first of all, if these NBA basketball players, I mean, honestly, they have armed bodyguards everywhere they go. Everybody talking about these things. You have some that are well-meaning, but America is America because we have the Second Amendment. The First Amendment is the pen. We can debate ideas in a Velvet Revolution style debate of ideals, and the best ideas win, and that's why free speech is important. So even dumb ideas get to be brought to the forefront. You might consider this a dumb idea. I might consider your idea a dumb idea, but I want you to have the platform to speak it so everyone else can make their conclusion. You understand? So, but when I read a friend of mine's post, I'm not going to name his name, but a friend of mine said, well, actually, you've seen it on my screen now. I love you, Jake, but damn. I mean, really? If you think arming teachers is the answer to a mass shooting epidemic, it's not an epidemic. There's only been 3 mass shootings this year. That's a bunch of bullshit. Look it up. Jeez. They're talking about every gun scare incident. I mean, they're hyping it. Gun violence is actually down. It's slightly up in the last few years, but overall from 1992, it's down. Look at the FBI statistics. Not to mention contrived. Listen, Sandy Hook is a hoax and everybody knows it. Anybody with a fucking brain knows that. I don't care if you're 5. I told my nephew when he was 9 years old to look at it. He brought the same conclusions I did. It's because it's that clear and concise. But I'm not going to sit and debate it with people because I don't have the time or the crayons. I'm not sure about the new one, but governments stage events. It does happen. And until all the evidence is pointed toward, I don't think truth bears any fear of any investigation. For those who lost lives, hey, I'm not saying arming teachers is the best idea, but if you leave a bunch of fish in a barrel and people want to come to shoot fish, you're defenseless. But I think it's rather odd that they were changing protocol that day and then weeks in advance, all kinds of drills, and right on time as the bullshit Robert Mueller indictments come out that are nonsense. Right on time. Oh, and the spokesman of amongst the kids that all seem to be in agreement to ban assault weapons. These are children. It's sad they lost their lives, but kids die every day. It's sad, but people die. You're not going to get off this planet alive. You're not going to get off of here alive. You can't nerf the planet. But what you can do is maybe get some Nerf swords to issue them to people that are licensed to carry them. I mean, if I'm going to go to this place and shoot it up, I mean, why do they target those places? Why don't they target shooting ranges? Why doesn't a mass murderer, quote unquote, mass shooter go take his SSRI reuptake inhibitor and go target a gun range or maybe a hunting lodge? Because the fucking guys know that they are armed. They're not going to be sitting ducks. They stand a chance. And they rearrange their thinking and go, well, we're going to go where there's no guns. And if you don't want a gun, don't get one. If you don't want to send your kid to a school that has gun protection, and I know when I was overseas in the military and they had a DOD school when I was stationed in Bahrain, those people were under armed guard at all times. And guess what? Nobody ever shot those schools up. Never happened, even though there were threats. But they were under armed military guard. And I'm not saying it needs to be to that degree, but I'm just trying to illustrate the fact that it does create a deterrence. Because all the people that are virtue signaling about the lives that are lost, these people don't care about people most of the time. Some of them are well-meaning, but some of them are just misguided. But it's our Bill of Rights, and we're a country because of it. And it's made a remarkable success story out of a 250-year period. You can call it win, lose, or draw. It's created the best society that probably the world's ever seen. I mean, that's a fact. That's a mathematical fact. That's a spiritual fact. That's a medical fact. I mean, come on. A lot of people bitch and complain about having a place to bitch and complain in. That's the funny thing, and everybody's in a big hurry to get here. Most people that are hearing this or commenting on things, they've never been outside of the U.S. Never. They've never been to a third world country. They have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. So when you have a disarmed populace, because that's where this goes. And I'm not real sure that it was a real event. I'm not real sure yet. And I'm going to look into it with the scrupulous eye, and I'm going to look at the evidence that's presented to me. Because when you have a colluding media that is continually telling lie after lie that are verifiable, these are non-debatable issues, maybe on the right and the left, you have a muddied pond, and you have to let it settle some, and I want to look at the evidence. Now, if the FBI lost the ball, that's astonishing. The guy actually had posted on social media on YouTube and had been visited by law enforcement 29 times, if I read that correctly. Could be fake news. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. I've not researched that to that level. But that's really the work that it takes. So it could take 2 to 3 weeks to really find and hash out and verify your sources and find some verifiable documentation about what was really going on. And did the FBI know about this guy? Because the FBI is not beyond riling one of these wind-up dolls up. Look at World Trade Center in 1993. That's just look at that. You know, and for those of you who don't want to see any truth, fine. I'm not talking to you. But when you come on here talking shit about like you're some educated, like oh, I'm going to join the rest of the Hollywood moniker. I mean, it's kind of like Eminem selling out. It's a joke. You know what I mean? These things, it's show me facts. Show me some statistics that say that in this epidemic. What do you mean by that, Jake? Epidemic. What does that mean? Is that what everybody in your success story class, this all talks, oh yes, yeah, you know, is that how they talk to your chin? Really? I mean, come on. Wouldn't bust a grape in a fruit fight and you know it. It's ridiculous. I mean, you all of a sudden, I mean, assault weapons ban, a common sense gun laws. These are catchphrases, man. These are catchphrases. That's not commonsensical. It's nonsensical. Give everyone a bazooka if you want it. As long as I can have one too. I mean, honestly, if it came down to it, I'd choose that over before I'd be disarmed. Absolutely. You don't know what it's like to be in a place where you need to be armed. A lot of folks have no clue. And I'm not real sure that this is a real event. I'm not real sure Vegas was a real event. I definitely know Sandy Hook was a fucking hoax. I definitely know the Gulf of Tonkin was a hoax. That's been declassified. Look it up. So false flag operations happen. People die in them sometimes, but we're living on a world stage that has mass media manipulation all over it. So before you come out grandstanding about your view, when these aren't fully automatic weapons, an AR-15 isn't a fully automatic. For those of you who think it's just a pull a trigger type deal and you just fire continually. No, none of these things have had any effect. I'm not saying you arm teachers per se, but there has to be some protocol to stop crazy lone gunmen, which I think that the more you look at it, the less likely that is, unless they're wound up by, I mean, let's say the FBI did see his social media post. Huh, you think they did? I bet if I put something on there, they'll find me in 2 hours or 3 hours. They'll be visiting, knocking on the door. But what if they went and told him that it was his time to do his patriotic duty and they're going to run some drill that's going to be, I mean, there's a million ways to look at it. And when you have an FBI that's been lying for the last, who knows how long. I mean, what's ironic is that folks on the quote unquote left, just for lack of a better term, I don't really agree to that either, or the liberals, which aren't liberal. That's obviously that's a perversion on words. They are authoritarian. They're the ones who want to shut down free speech. What's the big deal about the NRA? Well, you can have the ADL, the Southern Poverty Law Center. These places are just social disrupting groups. They've not been relevant in a long time. And matter of fact, the NRA was a lot of the NRA has to do with blacks being able to arm themselves. If you do some historical research, and I'm not saying folks in the NRA may not be corrupt. I'm not looked into it. I'm sure there's corruption there. But I know that they're not the demon. And all you people bashing Trump and bashing these common American values that we were born under, I've sworn under and maintain the oath to this day. How could you hate on Bush for getting us involved in the 2003 Iraq invasion after 9/11 when 13 of the 19 hijackers were from Saudi Arabia, according to their own narrative? So how could I didn't agree with Bush either. I knew there were no weapons of mass destruction and that Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden I knew they weren't working together. They were from different tribes and sects of Islam, Sunni and Shia. You see? So why would you invade Iraq? Oh, because there's weapons of mass destruction. Remember those lies about weapons of mass destruction? That came from the right. I denounced it totally. To this day, I still denounce it. Fox News was doing a bad job. Rupert Murdoch, I don't trust him at all. I don't care. Just because I'm a right winger, I guess, these days. Because if you don't want to marry a transsexual German Shepherd in a porta potty, then you're obviously a bigot. You know, far be it for me to say that I'm just going with common sense libertarian views, which mean you can have your freedom, just don't get it on me. And if you do get it on me, we're going to talk about it first, and then it's going to come to whatever else is necessary in order to make that not be. So we should have each individual right to protect ourselves. These people's virtue signaling Michael Moore is a joke. I mean, what a turncoat. Eminem, what a turncoat. I guess he's the only guy in Detroit that can have money. All the blacks that supported him, and so he can get his street credibility. I mean, what a brilliant guy, but man, he made a big mistake. He's on the wrong side of history. You know, when he was talking about George Bush, it was true. I'm not picking teams because of my fanfare or sycophantism. I'm merely going with the truth, facts as they're presented, and looking at the evidence given and making my best determination based on discernment, prior research, and experience, and what I can collectively view with my fellow humans. But to just completely, it's the thing about Trump is there's things I don't agree with him on, several things. I think there's some things that he's not doing correctly. But you don't ever get a chance to debate that because you're too busy defending these outlandish claims. They're fucking outlandish. There is no white on black racism open to speak of since the fucking 60s. Let's be real. They're not getting thrown out of buildings anymore. It's absurd, and I'm glad that was wrong. It was atrocious. Human beings have always subjugated other human beings. But the reformation of that is really what's being missed. We also emancipated slaves. I mean, we're the country that also did that. So it's kind of it's just race baiting. It's just simply race baiting. And now look at any Mexico, gun free. You're not allowed to have guns in Mexico. 100,000 murders in how many years? I mean, gun-free zones are notorious for having mass murder. And then they give people mass murder pills. And then you can see how these things are multi-pronged and they're 360 panopticon attacks. And it's all aimed at what? You can't have your own protection, and they're going to choose what type of protection that you're able to have if you're a law-abiding citizen. That is a slippery slope, for lack of a better term. I hate to say that, but you guys are just wrong. I mean, what was it Eminem said? I'm going to misquote him. And Donald Trump says he's going to lower your taxes. Well, how the fuck's he going to pay for his mansions? As if one would equate the other. None of that's even remotely true. So now it's kind of sad, because when he was going after Bush and Jay-Z was going after Bush, it was accurate. But now all of a sudden, they're jumping on Team what? Team Antifa? The fascists who are fighting fascism, and they're paid and funded by George Soros, and they're crisis actors out the ass. This is true. There's crisis actors on the right, I'm sure. You know, my sister actually emailed me the other day and said that she had tried to watch Sean Hannity, and it's just disturbing. He sounds more and more like Alex Jones. It's like, maybe they sound similar, but not because they're biting one another. I mean, Sean Hannity is really, really, really Alex Jones light. And I'm saying Alex Jones is backpedaling on Sandy Hook. He knows that was fake. He's taking one for the team on that one, I guess, but it's still deception, and I don't agree to it. I don't agree with it. I mean, didn't you notice not the governor, one of the senators or congressmen from Florida doing an interview and had actually mentioned that the school shooting was the biggest mass murder in Florida history. That's funny. Then weren't there 49 people murdered in Orlando? Funny how that slipped his mind. Maybe because nobody died that day either. You understand? So I'm not trying to disrespect people that pass away. I've lost loved ones. We all have. If it hurts your feelings, I'm sorry. You're only here for a limited time, and that should come to no shock to anyone. But the quality of life and equality of life, meaning equality of your rights that are protected, not your equality of your stature or abilities to proceed and take advantage of opportunities and your privilege. I mean, these things are false arguments and strawman arguments that aren't real. And they're really muddying up things and making it hard to move forward. Wonder why that is. Wonder why CNN and all these news agencies supported George Bush's war in Iraq, and you guys were all against it, self-included. But now all of a sudden, Donald Trump's dangerous. Is he really? Why? He wants to lower your power bill. I mean, come on. Do you think he would be a successful businessman? I mean, he's the actual last Americana champion. He actually did his thing. He actually built stuff. Barack Obama was a community organizer. That's not a fucking job. Hillary Clinton's never had a job. I mean, being at a law firm that protected pedophiles, and she said so many staunchly racist things that I can't believe that folks on the left still think she's the advocate for. But on the left, you guys are so congealed together, and you're so uniform that they can do no wrong, and you guys stick up for every single thing. If I heard Donald Trump was on Jeffrey Epstein's plane going to Pedophile Island, I'm gonna have some questions, and I'm no longer supporting him. I'm not a sycophant. But Hillary Clinton can go to spirit cookings. Jay-Z can have the devil worshiping witch on his videos and just hug up with her and then get on television and talk about, yo, Donald Trump, you know what I'm saying, kid? He really said some hurtful things. It's a beautiful place in Haiti. It's so beautiful that really? Come on. Why do they need aid then? Why are they sending America aid? It's not a beautiful place, and that's absurd. And anyone with a brain knows it. But most of you people that follow these things are brand new. So you couldn't tie your shoelaces and acquire the world's population even. I'm astonished at how many people I talk to that don't even know the estimated population of the planet, the country, the state. These are just basic. I'm a D student. These are basic facts. But no one knows these things, and they just get online and virtue signal all day and just type it out to where it turns me off from ever attempting to do it. This will be a failed attempt, I'm sure. But when I saw Jake's post, and I love you, Jake. You're my homeboy, dog. I'm proud of you. I love you, dog. But I want you to rethink that. What you're saying is, fuck the NRA. Why exactly? You didn't give a justifiable reason. Why? What's your beef with the NRA? What's your beef with them? How do they affect your day? You think that mass murders will be stopped by more laws? Laws don't stop, or prohibition never stop nothing. ever. It's just a way to disarm law-abiding citizens. And it seems to me that a gun ban in America, which is what they're edging toward, you know, it's funny, Trump really isn't a huge gun supporter. But you fuckers on the left would never know that. You don't listen to anything except racist, bigot, how dare ye, and watch The View all day about a bunch of damn people that don't live in the world you live in. You're a working class person, you know, you black, white, whatever, Hispanic, whatever. You shoveling gravel into a truck, or you're databasing it up beside the next man. You guys are just working together, and people seem to do just fine. You know, but now it's becoming a thing where you can take a retarded autistic kid hostage if you're 4 or 5 black teens and some young adults, and torture the man or boy or whatever you call it, a mentally retarded kid that he couldn't have voted, but they were so fucking retarded they didn't realize he was mentally challenged. They just thought he was a Trump supporter, and I don't know if they were hired to do that. Maybe it was a staged hoax. Either way, they got off with no jail time. Are you kidding? I just went to jail for fucking 24 hours for absolutely nothing. So there's definitely some injustices going on, and I'm going to call them out everywhere I see them. But I tell you what, I don't want why it all gets hashed out and we get these cultural problems under somewhat of a, we got to build better people. We got to create a better society, and it has to be done through Velvet Revolution. And people have got to stopped being manipulated by media to the point where they become like Pittsburgh Pirates fans, like no matter what, that's my team, like picketing all day. Like we're not going to get anywhere that way. Hillary Clinton was a horrible candidate. You guys should have got Bernie Sanders to run, really. So that to me is incredible too. But nobody stands up for Bernie. True liberals do stand up for Bernie. True quote unquote liberals. They're not liberal half the time. Thomas Jefferson was a liberal. Thomas Jefferson owned slaves. How dare you? People have always subjugated people. It's wrong. It has to be reformed. It was reformed. But he lived in the time he lived in. Okay? He'll pay and atone for his sins. But to take away the remarkable nature of how America came to be, but you fuckers don't know that. You don't understand anything. You don't know how old America is, basically. Half of you fuckers, 3/4 don't understand that. And it's sad because it's really, really astonishing, the experiment that happened. And I'm tired of being called a racist, a bigot. My own sister called me a racist. I mean, it's just such an absurdity. You know, now everything is racist. Well, now real racism is not even going to get any attention because people are just blowing it off like, okay, just because you can't have a debatable argument, you're just going to call someone a racist or fuck the NRA. I mean, really? Fuck the NRA. Let me see, Jake. I hate to pick on you, but I want to continue. Also, fuck the NRA, National Rifle Association of America. A gun-owning American who doesn't need an assault rifle to defend his home or family, who's increasingly unable to defend his shit anymore. Y'all want teachers to effectively prepare our youth, carry straps, and bust back at school shooters, but at the same time only pay them $40,000 a year? What we need are common sense gun laws. What you heard, take all guns. I mean, I tagged the NRA in my post, and Facebook removed the tag. Went back to edit the post 5 times, and upon saving my changes each time, the NRA was no longer tagged. Well, Jake, that's called shadow banning, and it's starting to affect you fuckers on the left too. They've been doing it for a very long time. I'm not saying that's wrong. Listen, but if you're gonna make the couple make the gay cake, or go out of business and violate their civil rights to choose to do business with whom they choose to, then I guess Facebook can too. You see? Maybe that's your net neutrality. What a joke. I mean, what a joke. Barry Soetoro really has created a lot of this. He really did a great job. He really divided the country up, along with George Soros and other Nazi collaborators that actually fund neo-Nazis in Ukraine, literally on paper. But then he's the open society, media matters Snopes. Get the fuck out of here. I don't need anybody to tell me what facts are. Let me look at all of it. I want all the dumb ideas out here. That's why I'm addressing this dumb idea. It's crazy. Get away or wake up. If you don't want a gun, don't get one. But Michael Moore's got fucking armed bodyguards everywhere he goes with his fat fucking self. And they're openly calling for the hunting of Republicans. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm a libertarian. And I suggest if you want to stay safe and it's a dangerous neighborhood, where you go and you start carrying. I'm out.